Most people believe that when someone disrespects them, they must fight back to prove their worth to the world. They believe that volume equals strength and that retaliation equals power. This is a profound flaw in human conditioning. Ordinary people seek the comfort of immediate validation. They react. They raise their voices. They explain themselves to people who are entirely committed to misunderstanding them. They let their heart rate spike and their palms sweat over the words of an insignificant individual. This reactive emotional behavior is exactly what the aggressor relies on to feel powerful in their own miserable life. It feeds their fragile ego and grants them ultimate control over your emotional state. We are going to execute a massive Machiavellian strategic shift today. We will not react like the masses. We will deploy calculated inaction. Understand clearly that this is not about cruelty, malice, or playing petty games. This is about the precise calibration of your psychological boundaries and the absolute protection of your mental energy. By consciously doing nothing in the face of provocation, you are actively doing everything necessary to protect your mind. You are taking complete control of the social architecture in any room you enter. You are letting them exhaust themselves while you remain untouched. Before we go deeper into the exact mechanics of this strategy, drop this affirmation in the comments. I control my response. Let us begin with the first reality of human interaction, which revolves around the subtle insult or the backhanded compliment. The weak behavior is the immediate, desperate need to defend yourself. When someone drops a passive aggressive remark about your appearance, your work, or your choices, the average person rushes to clarify their intentions or defend their character. They laugh nervously. They try to explain why the insult isn't true. The dark psychological truth is that the insult was never about facts, logic, or truth. It was a calculated test of your emotional immunity. They want to see if they can disrupt your internal tempo. They want to know if their opinion has the power to make you doubt yourself. When you rush to defend yourself, you prove that their words carry immense weight. You validate their importance. You hand them the leverage they desperately want. The Machiavellian solution is to offer absolute, chilling silence. You do not explain. You do not defend. You look at them directly in the eyes. You hold that cold, unwavering eye contact for exactly 3 seconds. You do not smile to soften the blow, and you do not frown in anger. You let the heavy, uncomfortable tension hang in the air until it becomes utterly suffocating for them. You make them sit in the awkwardness of their own pathetic attempt to bring you down. Then, you simply look away and continue exactly what you were doing as if they never spoke. You have just established dominant positioning without speaking a single word. You have shown them that their attempts to manipulate your state are completely useless. Ask yourself honestly, how much of your daily energy is wasted defending yourself to people who simply do not matter in the grand scheme of your life? Drop this affirmation in the comments. My silence is my power. This brings us to the second shift in our strategy, dealing with public disrespect and the dynamics of group settings. The weak behavior is showing visible anger when someone overtly disrespects you in front of others. You let your voice rise to match theirs. You let your face flush with embarrassment or rage. You lose control of your physical state and allow them to drag you into a public shouting match. The dark psychological truth here is that human groups naturally submit to the person who controls their emotions best, not the person who shouts the loudest or acts the most aggressive. The aggressor in a group setting is attempting to alter the social hierarchy by making you look volatile, insecure, and weak. They want the audience to see you lose your composure. The Machiavellian solution is to completely strip them of their predictability. They expect anger. They expect defensiveness. Instead of showing either, you deploy a mild and clinical curiosity. You do not raise your voice. You tilt your head slightly. You look at them as if studying a strange, fascinating, but ultimately harmless insect. You might offer a slight, amused smirk. You pause. Let their aggressive words echo in the silent room. And then you calmly redirect your attention to someone else and change the subject completely. This immediately shifts the power dynamic. It forces the aggressor to reevaluate their entire strategy because their attack failed to land. You establish complete psychological safety for yourself by treating their emotional outburst as a bizarre anomaly that is beneath your engagement. You make them look small by refusing to acknowledge their attempt to be big. Ask yourself honestly, do you control your emotions in public or do your enemies control them for you? Drop this affirmation in the comments. I dictate the baseline. Now consider the third shift, which involves the aftermath of disrespect. The weak behavior is holding a grudge and plotting petty revenge against someone who slighted you. You leave the interaction, but you carry the disrespect with you. You obsess over their words. You replay the scenario in your head dozens of times. You waste hours of your precious life imagining perfect comebacks and scenarios where you finally put them in their place. The dark psychological truth is that your obsession is a literal form of submission. By allowing them to occupy your thoughts and dictate your internal mood long after they are gone, you are paying them the highest form of respect. You are telling your subconscious mind that this person is superior to you and requires your constant mental vigilance. The Machiavellian solution is total and absolute erasure. You do not plot revenge because revenge requires effort, emotional investment, and time. Instead, you remove their existence from your mental framework entirely. You treat them with the polite indifference you would show a stranger asking for directions on the street. You offer zero emotional currency. If they succeed, you do not care. If they fail, you do not care. This calculated inaction, this utter lack of interest, is vastly more destructive to an ego-driven person than any insult you could ever hurl at them. People who disrespect others are desperate for attention and significance. By erasing them from your reality, you starve them of the very oxygen they need to survive. Ask yourself, honestly, who is living rent-free in your mind right now and draining the potential you should be using to build your own empire? Drop this affirmation in the comments. I withdraw my attention. The fourth shift involves the strategic weaponization of absence. The weak behavior is staying in environments, relationships, or workplaces where you are consistently disrespected, hoping that your loyalty, hard work, or kindness will eventually be recognized and rewarded. You tolerate the disrespect because you fear confrontation, or worse, you fear isolation. You believe that if you just endure a little longer, they will magically change their behavior. The dark psychological truth is that people will treat you exactly how you train them to treat you. If you tolerate disrespect on Monday, you are actively endorsing it for Tuesday. Every time you stay after being mistreated, you validate their behavior. The Machiavellian solution is to ruthlessly leverage your absence. You do not announce your departure like a victim seeking pity. You do not write a dramatic, emotional paragraph explaining your feelings and hoping for an apology. You simply remove your physical and emotional presence. You stop being available. You stop answering their calls immediately. You stop engaging in their trivial conversations. You alter the entire architecture of the relationship by removing the most valuable asset you possess, which is your time. When they realize that their disrespect results in the immediate withdrawal of your attention and value, they are forced to confront the consequences of their actions. And if they do not care that you are gone, you have saved yourself years of wasted effort. Ask yourself honestly, are you actively rewarding bad behavior with your continued, unconditional presence? Drop this affirmation in the comments. My presence is a privilege. Let us transition to the fifth rule of the code, which centers on the bait of the argument. The weak behavior is taking the bait every single time someone tries to drag you into a pointless debate or a cyclical argument. They make an inflammatory statement or they twist your words and you immediately jump into the mud with them. You present facts. You present logic. You exhaust yourself trying to win a verbal spar with someone who is playing a completely different game. The dark psychological truth is that toxic individuals do not argue to find the truth. They argue to drain your energy. They use conflict as a mechanism to elevate their own emotional state by lowering yours. They feed on the tension. The Machiavellian solution is the dismissive agreement or the technique of agreeing and amplifying. When they throw an absurd accusation at you to start a fight, you do not defend. You look at them with deadpan eyes and say, "You are absolutely right. and you move on. Or you say, if that is what you want to believe, I will not stop you. You refuse to provide the friction they are desperately seeking. It is like throwing a punch at smoke. The aggressor is left off balance, holding all their toxic energy with nowhere to direct it. By refusing to engage in their chaotic tempo, you preserve your emotional immunity and leave them to drown in their own toxicity. Ask yourself honestly, how many pointless arguments have you engaged in this year that resulted in nothing but your own exhaustion? Drop this affirmation in the comments. I conserve my energy. The sixth shift deals with the physical reality of intimidation. Disrespect is often nonverbal. The weak behavior is physically shrinking when someone attempts to dominate your space. They step too close, they stare you down, or they use expansive body language to make you feel small. The weak response is to break eye contact, cross your arms, look down at your phone, or physically back away. The dark psychological truth is that physical submission always precedes mental submission. The moment your body language signals defeat, your mind will follow, and the aggressor registers this as a complete victory. They recognize your physical retreat as an invitation to push harder. The Machiavellian solution is the mastery of physical positioning. When someone attempts to intimidate you, you do not shrink and you do not aggressively puff out your chest like a threatened animal. You simply ground yourself. You plant your feet. You slow your breathing intentionally to lower your heart rate. You occupy your space with absolute relaxed confidence. If they step into your space, you hold your ground and maintain a cold, unblinking gaze aimed directly at the bridge of their nose. This creates the illusion that you are looking straight through them. You move slowly and deliberately. Fast, jerky movements signal panic. Slow, measured movements signal ultimate power. You force them to realize that their physical presence has zero effect on your internal state. Ask yourself honestly, does your body language project power, or does it broadcast your insecurities to everyone in the room? Drop this affirmation in the comments. I occupy my space. The seventh and final tactical shift addresses the coward's weapon, the smear campaign and behind the back gossip. The weak behavior is panicking when you hear that someone is spreading rumors or talking badly about you to others. You rush to every single person you know to clear your name. You try to expose the liar. You become frantic, stressed, and desperate to control the narrative. The dark psychological truth is that extreme defensiveness looks exactly like guilt to the outside observer. The more frantic you are to prove your innocence, the more people will suspect that the rumors are true. The aggressor wants to see you running around in a panic because it proves they have the power to destroy your reputation. The Machiavellian solution is amused indifference. You do absolutely nothing to stop the gossip. When someone brings the rumor to your attention, you laugh softly. You say something dismissive, like, it sounds like they have a lot of free time on their hands, and then you refuse to discuss it further. You let your consistent high-level actions speak for your character. Over time, the person spreading the gossip will expose themselves as a jealous, obsessed amateur. The people who matter will see through the lies, and the people who believe the lies do not matter to your future. You maintain your trajectory and let their obsession with you become their own public embarrassment. Ask yourself honestly, are you letting the whispers of weak people distract you from the roaring success of your own goals? Drop this affirmation in the comments. My reality is unshakable. We have dismantled the weak responses. We have mapped the architecture of calculated inaction. But now we arrive at the ultimate truth of this entire strategy. The weak behavior is believing that merely understanding these psychological concepts is enough to change your life. You watch a video like this, you feel a temporary surge of dopamine. You feel a fleeting sense of power, and then you close the app and go right back to seeking comfort tomorrow morning. You let the next insult sting. You let the next disrespect slide. The dark truth is that motivation is entirely useless without cold, hard, unforgiving discipline. Understanding the theory of leverage means nothing if you refuse to apply it in the real world. Do not revert to your weak, reactive patterns the very next moment someone tests your boundaries. You must enforce these new rules with ruthless, robotic consistency. The world will push back. People who are used to walking all over you will escalate their disrespect when you first deploy silence. They will test your resolve. You must stand firm. You must observe their panic as they realize their old tricks no longer work on you. Stop acting nice just to survive in rooms where you are fundamentally not respected. Nice is a survival mechanism for the weak. Respect is the currency of the strong. Start playing smart to actually lead your own life, dictate your own terms, and build your own psychological fortress. If you are truly serious about mastering human behavior, dissecting the minds of those around you, and building an entirely unbreakable mind, you need to subscribe to the human code right now. We do not deal in comfort here. We deal in reality. Stop acting nice to survive. Start playing smart to lead.